Hi, the 72 Day Star again. Out with my usual walking vlog. It's in the evening, it's getting cool, it's nice and comfortable now, I find. I'm not breaking into a sweat just for moving a little bit, which is nice. So I wanted to follow up on my last video that was on the issue of faith. And I asked a question, and I asked actually two questions. The first question I wanted to ask is, why is faith virtuous? And the second question, which I haven't had addressed yet, was, why would it be wise? Why would it be wise to have faith? And I'm referring to a kind of faith. There's two common usages of faith. One would be faith, like you have trust and faith in things that you have experience in. That is, if you have a good friend who's been there for you in the past, you have faith that he'll be there for you in the future. That's one use of faith. The other use of faith would be a faith in a religion and a faith in God. And that's the one I was referring to. I got one response from a YouTuber named YouTube Detective. And it took the course of about 4 days to sort things out. The main problem is that he took some of my... I did some very terrible things. There were some terrible things that I directed towards YouTube Detective. I used all caps as many as 3 or 4 times. Not on the entire comment, just on specific words that I wanted to draw his attention to, because I had made the same response to what he was saying multiple times, and he was just seemed to be ignoring the fact that I had made these responses. So I made a response with a couple comments, and I put them in all caps, and he thought that was a great offense. The other great offense I caused him was I actually quoted things that he said in my comments, and then added my comments and criticisms, and or pointed out problems of logical nature that he had in his statements. Or I was trying to direct him in some other way and saying, no, that's not what I'm saying. Like that. And of course, everyone knows if you're quoted that's some kind of, wait a minute, no, it's not. It's no big deal at all. But he made a big deal of it. And shortly after that, just about every comment he made to me included some ad hominems, insulting, calling me bald, yeah, which is kind of really funny because in the Bible there's this bit where Elisha, a prophet of God, is being called bald by some youths, and then but God sticks up for him, sends a couple of bears out to rip the youths apart. So it's kind of ironic that this good young Christian guy is giving me a hard time about being bald. I mean, how juvenile can you get anyways? But the purpose here is not just to cut up YouTube Detective. I did get something out of our exchange. I think that was the fact that for a lot of Christians, they don't see the difference. That is, they don't see the difference. He was apparently, early on in our exchange, he made it clear to me that he wasn't aware that there were multiple usages of faith. And, Oliver going to spin again, sorry. That there were multiple usages of faith. And on one hand, he didn't seem to get the difference. He seemed to express that he sees them as they're the same. And I said, well, yeah, it's about trusting in something and believing in something. But in one case, you have experience to base that on. Now, he's claiming that they have experience too, but it's of... and that was my greatest regret, is that I was trying to push him in that direction to define what is the evidence that you would base your trust in God on. Because the whole big mistake was that he thinks, I got called a militant atheist for the first time in my life. I guess just because I was asking pointed questions to this guy. I'm assuming it's a guy. So I got called a militant atheist. That was really amusing. But my interest in religion now is more just exploring it and getting Christians to explain their point of view and seeing how they respond to a logical critique of their beliefs. And this person's response to a logical critique of their beliefs was to become very hostile and insulting. And just when things were sort of breaking down and I had given up on it, I just said, okay, thanks for your response, but you didn't really answer this part of the question. But anyways, whatever. Let's just, I was ready to give up. And then he comes back with, oh, well, I deleted all of my... he suggested that I was not being a gentleman about things. And I said, well, look over at the comments. I think any fair-minded person, if they looked over these comments, it wouldn't be me that they'd think was being ungentlemanly. That's better. Shortly after that, he deleted all of his comments. And because he was afraid that I would take them and make a video. Now I could put his comments up here and they would make him look silly, but I don't really see the point. That's not my goal, to make him look silly. My goal is to explore this aspect of religion. And I guess he just doesn't get that I was asking him pointed questions, not to try in an attempt to prove him wrong, but just to try to see the rhyme and reason of the way he thinks. Anyways, so what did I glean from it? Well, it seems that he doesn't see the distinction between faith in a trusted friend and faith in God, and yet he does hint that he sees the evidence, the kind of evidence that you have for your belief in God is different than the evidence you'd have, say, the belief that your friend's going to stick by you in the future. But at times it was really unclear that he saw any distinction at all. Now, the sort of faith I'm talking about is a belief where there's no evidence, there's no verifiable evidence. And I wondered one thing, how is it virtuous? And he went on talking about how regular faith is virtuous. Okay, that's not my question. Also how it's rational, and I haven't really got an answer for that. And I hope if any Christians choose to try to give me an answer to that I'm not trying to be hostile. I may ask you some difficult questions, but I'm asking you difficult questions because I want to understand your point of view. And I may expose you to some logic that you haven't given a great deal of thought to. So, with that in mind, you could decide yourself whether you want to answer or not. So again, the question, sure, why is faith virtuous? And I'm talking about religious faith, faith in God. Why is that virtuous? And also, how would it be rational to have faith in something? And faith meaning, as it suggests in the Bible, Hebrews 11:1, I think. Faith. Well, the one I'm familiar with, faith is the assured expectation of things hoped for, though not perceived. So, it's a hope with no evidence. How is that rational? And if God is a rational God, why would he expect you to be, if you concede that that's irrational, why would he expect you to be irrational? Okay? So anyways, hoping I can get a less hostile answer anyways. Anyways, YouTube detective, thanks for the answer.